Hey, hi there. How are ya? Give me a second. I had to run to the special spot there in the other room. Mixturate, folks. That's what it's called. Okay, hi. I've got this fun paper, and I posted yesterday's one-page suggestion. Yesterday's one-page suggestion was from Salty Snacks. It was UFO drag racing. So if you're interested in getting a look at that and you haven't the facility to go and look at my YouTube or my Instagram or my Facebook, this is the finished result, which is a little bit mental. There's a couple things I tried here that little things like let me see if I can just make this just the slightest bit bigger. Is that better? Well, how about a little bit more? A little bit more, huh? Let's take it up to 20 and see what that does for us. Oh, it makes the world turn. So this is yesterday's one page. I've got it posted now. The suggestion was UFO drag race. And so, you can see I've switched cameras too, because I think what happened at the end of last night's live stream, which I think went fantastic, by the way. I really appreciated that live stream. But I think my camera burned out. I think my other camera said, nope, I'm not doing it anymore. So I've got my secondary camera, which kind of sucks, but that's okay. We'll get through it. We'll get through it together. I mean, how in focus do I need to really be? So, I look like a space alien. So, yesterday's one-page comic was UFO Drag Race. I've had a bit of running around to do for the last little bit, so I wasn't able to sit down and post it until I realized before I left, and then I realized kind of at the last minute here, oh, I forgot to post it. So I did. So I got it done, and with that, some explanations are in order. I've tried something different with this page. I've tried to embed text, and so I've got an alien text that I've used underneath the English text, and it says UFO drag race in the top corner. And now with that, underneath that English is little arrows whipping around. That's the alien language, folks. So it says UFO drag race, and it literally does. Like, it literally says that in arrows. So then the next thematic element that I've put in here is at the if you play this on the piano, I think you'll realize within those first three notes what this is. It's dun dun dun, and then of course after the lights for the race lights here, it says boom boom. I'm a lunatic. So this was one of the ideas that I had like in the early stages of this, as I was sitting there trying to think about how to go about this. So it's da 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 boom boom. They're really moving fast, command. Should we engage? And then we go into the alien narration. They're off. Bit of bad language there. So one alien gives 3 fingers to the other ship. They're really pushing. Oh no, they're losing control. And so here we have the crash that happens in this, I guess what would be the third, fourth, fifth, sixth image. And the 7th image is where they're losing control. We cut down to the next language, or the next layer. It's a 4-layer page where the pilot that's been chasing them says, holy, they're both going to crash. Confirmed. And then something has happened at the last possible second for some reason of my balloon there. And I'll go back and fix that before I go to print. But they're both going to crash. Confirmed. And then boom is the sound effect that's leaking out of the panel below. But if you go back, it jags time again a little bit. where one of the aliens, about the bad language alien, is about to swear, and then you can see where the two ships have bumped into each other once again with a whammo, and then our one ship crashes, and as these two aliens are climbing out, the second ship is crashed over on the side of the mountain. And of course, our bad languaged alien says, "Serves you right, Barry." So, yeah. I'm sorry. I've still got my image up. So just give me 1 second. I got my big noggin out of the road. And there we go. So you can see in that last couple panels where the first ship is crashed, and then the second ship crashes onto the hillside in the background, and our badmouth alien there says, "Serves you right, Barry," because I like having fun with things, clearly. So this was a fun page to do. I really enjoyed the opportunity that it presented me, and challenges that it made me step up for myself, like just trying to push this secondary language motif, as well as a 4-tier page, which is something I've never really, I think, approached in this landscape format. And as well as that, there's a number of mixed elements. A page I did in the last year's book of one-page comic extravaganza. Well, a page that I had in that was of a kaiju rock, paper, scissor. And I drew some F-16s whipping around on that page, trying to figure out what's going on with these gigantic kaiju monsters. So I went back to that motif and studied how I drew took how I did the pilots there and incorporated it into this same thing. So, you could arguably suggest now that maybe they exist in the same universe. Maybe not. But one way or another, this was a lot of fun to do. Now, today's suggestion is Christopher Walken ordering a beer and drinking it. And this suggestion came from somebody named Andy. So, thank you for that suggestion, Andy. And I'm looking forward to this opportunity because, Christopher Walken, how can you go wrong? There's a film on Netflix right now of Chris Walken at some Irish castle in the hillside or some such, where some girl returns to her family manse and uncovers a strange secret in the family property. And I can't quite figure out how or why, but Christopher Walken is one of her relatives there. And he's just Christopher Walken in the trailer for it. And it doesn't make any clear distinction about why he's there. And not Irish, because he's like, "Cousin, glad you're home." It sounds so Irish. And not that I'm expecting them to say, "Oh, skilly dee potatoes, won't you be coming in the house?" No, just the same. So, all right. I've had some supersized sip there. So I've got this really fun block of, I think it's called Craft. Yeah, it's Craft paper. It's a smooth cardstock, but this brand of color book. It's got the umlaut. I love umlauts. When I was a kid, I figured out what umlauts meant. It means you pronounce the soft and the hard sound of a vowel. So, which makes the band Motley Crue actually be Motley Crue. So, the things you find out, huh? You're welcome. So, yeah, I really like the type of paper that these guys produce. I really like its weight and what it gives us as opportunities for working on it. So I've got this nice pad of it, and I'm going to rip one off and let's go to town on this sucker. So the intent here, first and foremost. Oh, and before I go any further, if you had an opportunity to see last night's special evening live stream, I got to tell you, that might have been one of my favorite streams I ever had. I really enjoyed chatting with Jim Lujan, who joined me, and we talked about process of making art and the wherefores and whys, and there was lots of great people that showed up to take part and to engage. And yeah, I can't, there's not a single part of me that that didn't appreciate every part of that. So thank you for all parties involved, most specifically Jim. He was a really great guest. It's funny. My wife said to me that it looked really comfortable, looked really natural. It just looked like a really organic conversation. And we were just genuinely having fun, chatting it up. Gary Hodges was watching, and Gary Hodges says that he feels like he was looking in on a blind date. So, you know, I don't know about that, but I do know that I really enjoyed being able to engage with Jim there. And if you get the opportunity to, please go check out his work. I left links on I left links on the text matter underneath the live stream video. So yeah, give it a look. I think you're gonna love it. Ooh, strong words, Sanchez. I'm gonna try not to blow up my mic or my camera for a moment as I turn on this sucker. There we go. Doesn't wash it the whole darn thing out. Okay. Yeah. So, what to draw in, right? Hey, let's go to the old. Let's go to the old standard. Let's go to the old fella, huh? Under the sun. Let's go to, or as I call it, the ballpoint pen. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to this page. I have some ideas for how I want to go about it. There's a note in one of my sketchbooks, and I'm going to show you that. It's let it be the sketchbook that I propped up my board with. Yeah, of course it is. So in one of my sketchbooks, there's a style of drawing that I did here, which is really primary and really rudimentary, but I had a lot of fun doing it. So I'm going to incorporate this with the crazy washes, and because this sketchbook is a similar kind of paper, a craft paper, like we're using here, I have already tried and true the fact that that is going to apply. It's going to work. So I put the board or the book underneath my board here so that I can prop it up for the overhead camera so that things look a little more straightened out. And then the next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to flip this guy around a little bit so that it's better in the camera there. There we go, and there we go. Good stuff. I'm happy. You happy? I'm happy. Okay. All right. So yeah. So I'm gonna do a drawing of Chris Walken to start things off. I think that's clearly the easiest way to go about it. So bear with me, folks. I'm probably going to be rooting it around a little bit because for me that's going to be a little bit easier. But he's got a real character to his look that there's just something to how how his eyes express emotion and how this pen's gonna be like that, is it? So let's just nip this in the bud right now. Switch to a different one. Can't believe you're not ready to work with the right kind of pen, Chris. Get off my back. So, grabbing getting somebody out of my paint or my pen blocks. So I gave a little bit of a brief turnaround in the studio last night to show where stuff is and some of the different mark making materials that I have. I've been asked about that recently, and so I thought I'd just do it. So if you check out last night's special late night live stream, you'll get to see that. So that's exciting. Yeah, that's great start. You know how you got something in your hands and you're like, you're not going to be reliable. You're going to break down. All right, here we go. Come on, don't let me down. Go team, go. Paper mate, great pen. Okay. All right, so I've got the craft paper going. I'm just going to play with some lines. So it was commented to me earlier today. I got an opportunity to talk to a friend there. They've noticed that I've almost kind of given up on laying out shape and structure as I'm drawing, and just, going as I go, as is my want. And I got to agree. I think I've been doing that a lot more because it's working for me. And if it's working, go with your guts. Go with your guts. Go with your juicy bits inside. So this is going to be one of those pages where when I scan it, it's going to, this is one of the ones where you can put it into the computer and then alter the value of it, the colors of it. This is one of the pages where when you're scanning, that's because of the color of the paper, and you want to pick up some of these textures in that paper. It's just leave it, just let it be, allow the scan to maintain the integrity of the page itself. So that's the whole reason for doing things on different paper and different styles, is that it does afford us the chance to find those various benefits in said paper, in said surface. And, I like that. I like that a lot. I like experimenting with that. And, yeah. So another piece of exciting news, actually, is if there's a fella on Instagram that's comes to visit the streaming here, named Philip Chandler. And Philip Chandler did, so 2 weekends ago, the grandkids were over, and they sat down in the studio with me because time for some activities. And they drew. I said, let's draw a comic together, kids. What do you think? All right, Grandpa. Right. So they sat down in the studio with me, and we did we came up with an idea for a 1-page comic, and then we went for it. And it turned out to be a 6-page story of Mars plot against the Earth, but they fail miserably. So it was a lot of fun. We had a great time doing it. And so we've posted that up on the Instagram. We've posted that up on Facebook. And additionally, there's some posts up on Patreon as well. I try to put some extra content on Patreon. So there is a little bit of stuff there that for a lot of pages that I do that you're not going to see on these standard social media posts that I put them on, because I think that is the entire point of Patreon, is to give people an opportunity for something extra. People that have gone out of their way to try to show their support, you know, for the madness to keep happening. So when I do black and white pages, I will post the color version, or I'm sorry, I'll post the regular version, the finished version of it. I will post the page without text on it, so it's just the art. But then I'll also post a black and white version for people that want to color it themselves, which personally I think is fun. You know, it's fun to color, and you know, it's a very relaxing and therapeutic thing for people to do. So if I could afford somebody something a little different to color, hey, why not? Right? Okay. So there's a couple of establishing images of walking that I want to get, but then it's a lot of body shots that I want to do. It's a lot of, hey, you guy, moving around. So I'm getting real glare off my own paper here from the silly light that I have to have over it so that you can see it. Actually. So I'm just looking at the shapes of his face. I'm not thinking about lines in the face that I'm drawing. I'm thinking about it in the context of shapes. So, you know, it could be a little more complicating, not necessarily so. And I think that for me to do this drawing, it's easier for me to execute in that way. So. Yeah. So I put up a question for today for anybody that checks in. What is your favorite sound effect? Mine is shoosh. It's just one of those sounds that you know what it says. You know what it means. It says shoosh. My camera's cutting out again. I think it's something to if it's going to be like this, I'm going to shut down for today. It's a little aggravating. Did I cut it again? Is it cutting out? No, I don't need to be so damn high. What am I doing? So I don't know about other people, but when I'm drawing a face, I start to emulate that face. It's not a conscious action that we do, but when we're drawing, it's something to test out. But I find that when you're engaged in the process and you're drawing, somebody smiling, if you're consciously as you're working, it's a funny thing. But I know that at least I do. I would think that others do it. I liked the live stream that we did last night because there was just so much interaction and talk about art in general, and not just the specific processes of myself and Jim, who was on this special stream with me last night, but so many other people that were there, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the perspective of some of the guys there that we're not all going to agree on things. We're just not. But at the same time, it's nice to be able to share and to interact and engage with those people. So when I suggest one-page comic ideas with folks, it's kind of it's a nice way to interact with others. Of course, it's always nice if they make the effort of coming in while we're doing the suggestion that they made. I try to announce in advance when I'm able to what I've got ahead of me to work on. After this one, it's going to be a really interesting one because Gary Hodges of DVSM fame there is going to let me use his characters for a one-page comic, a Men in Black type scenario. So I'm looking forward to that. Those are the types of things that I really enjoy. There's I've done some sketches and whatnot of different people's characters. Frank Salazar let me do a Dr. Or Captain Goggles. I'm so sorry, Frank. A Captain Goggles piece, and that was fun. If you can do images of other people's characters in order to support them in the sense that, it lets other people see their works because of, somebody might have some interest in what you're doing and then go about looking at what the other person's doing. And so that's kind of nice and compelling. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not even paying attention. Somebody has said, thanks again for having me on. Thank you, Jim, by the way, for last night. That was really great to have you on for the live stream. Really enjoyed that. You got the thumbs up from my missus, and I read your message out. You got the from your missus, and those are the toughest critics to please. So they know all our ins and outs. So I'm drawing Walken, unhappy, as he's coming up to the bar to get a beer. I've got this all planned out. I had mentioned it last night to somebody that I think it was Jim I was telling about it, that I have this whole, I wrote a dialogue down that popped into my head, and that dialogue is structured this page. I think saying last night that music is something that he considers as he's starting a project. For me, it's dialogue. It really is. I hear conversations that just sort of start to define some character for me. I was thinking about that later on last night. I'm also curious about any insight into the UFO page I finished. I forgot to post it earlier, and I'm sorry for that. But I'm curious what, especially the person that suggested the idea, if that was in any way, shape, or form along the lines of what they were thinking. But that was a fun one. That was another fun one to do. So. I'm getting serious glare off of the light, so I have to, it's ink, right? Shiny ink. Well, I'm at it. Let's think. Favorite Christopher Walken films. Let's put that out there, see what people think. Favorite sound effect? Favorite Chris Walken film? Or is it, him in a sketch on a comedy show? Those count too, because he's really funny. I don't know if you ever had the chance to see him as the Continental, but in my mind, that's one of the most memorable SNL characters that were, ever from a guest on the show. And now it's time for the Continental. So good. The cameraman seems like it's a person that's like my size, but he has a long gloves on his arms. So if you can just imagine me wearing like a long evening gown gloves as I'm holding the camera. And so whenever Chris says, "My dear, come in, sit upon my couch made of leather," and he leads this gigantic hand. Not the, you, my little feminine flower. And meanwhile, these mitts are just, I like stuff like that. I mean, I like a turn of phrase that is a reverse of the expectation. So, my music for today that I'm listening to is a bad playlist so far of 80s hits. And if not Men Without Hats, if the ones that sing Safety Dance, if that comes on here, I'm going to throw my headphones across the room. Let me think. Chris Walken films. Really enjoyed him in The Prophecy. Actually, Viggo Mortensen's first film, strangely enough. But I really enjoyed him in The Prophecy. But what I enjoyed him and really enjoyed him in recently was a character he played in Seven Psychopaths. It's a really funny film about a scriptwriter who is there's a series of murders that are going on in the town or in the city that he lives in, Los Angeles, and at the same time as that, he's got an overdue script for a film, and he can't get inspired, and he just can't get out of his funk. And so his rather unconventional friend is trying to help him out with that. Played by Sam Rockwell, and Colin Farrell plays the scriptwriter. But it's incredibly funny. It's a really funny film. He gets told to put his gun down, or put your hands up. So, this guy with a gun says to him, he goes, "No." It's the best. Do it now. I do it because I said, or, why should I do it? He says, "Because I've got a gun." He goes, "So?" It's just like, Ah, wonderful moment. Just a really well-defined character. It's the sort of stuff that I like in projects where you see these characters that are clearly, you know, in and of themselves. There's an authenticity in that sort of an attitude, you know, it's hard to just imagine as it is. It's one of those things where somebody authentically is that obstinate, and you know, you wouldn't think of putting that into a project, but that entire film is quirky. So 7 Psychopaths. Tom Waits is in it as well, and Tom Waits has a breakout moment where they show up at their place, and there he is sitting there petting a rabbit. No explanation, you know. Says, "Hey, listen, you didn't call us up and say that you were going to cut off our heads or whatever." They try to suss him out as being a psychopath. He says, "No, it doesn't sound like something I do." He says, "All right, come on in." He goes, "Dandy," which again is such brilliant writing. Dandy, and then he goes. It's such a good project that you know, Tom Waits and Chris Walken. Okay. Sam Rockwell, like it's almost like one of those little casting lists where you're like, if I could get just this cast of these random people, I'd be pleased as punch. And then they all agree. But it's something else. I'm missing stuff. I'm gonna check out 7 Psychopaths. Yeah, do so. It's great. And you check out 7 Smiles. Oh, I will. I'm gonna write it down right now. 7 Smiles. Yeah. So I'm just finding shape in the shadows, and I think that this is kind of one of my weird things that I do. I've never really understood if I have a style per se, but this is something that I do consistently. So maybe this is part of that style. Is that I look for not lines, I look for volumes, I look for shapes. So yeah, Continental for comedy sketches for Chris Walken, and 7 Psychopaths for a comedy film that he's in, and then there's for dramatic turns. I mean, everybody always says Deer Hunter, right? I like him in The Prophecy. He plays the angel Gabriel, who's tired of God being more interested in these talking monkeys. We were here first. It's like it's very Chris Walken dialogue, you know, and I like that. I like it. I've gone through so many pens in the course of years of doodling. I used to save pens and pencil. It's not so much as it was a conceit as it was just interest, just general interest on my part of how many pencils and pens do I go through. And so I started, saving them all up. And I'll work pencils right down until like the nub of the darn things. And that's how I get different pencil holders to stick them into, so that I can work them right down to tiny shape and still be able to hold on to them. But pens, I used to keep in a drawer until I realized that there's an entire drawer in my studio of just pens and pencil and whatnot, which is kind of dumb. We're not talking about a massive drawer, but it's a drawer, that could have been using for other things, a place to put various cheeses, but whatever I could get in there. Okay, I think he's coming together. Let me look over here in the. Yeah, I think it's coming together. I think it's looking a little bit Christopher Walken-ish. My word, I coined it. So my intention is this. This is the two elements that I'm putting into this page. Now, yesterday, the elements that I talked about putting into the UFO page was one of, I wanted the UFOs, I wanted F-16s, chasing them and trying so that we have our first-person character that we get to enter into this world with, and which helps for us to have, how is it that we're overseeing this? I kind of like the idea of rooting a scene into what, the perspective we're looking at it from. And, when it came to the aliens drag racing, I wanted to be something that didn't make any sense at first. So that's why I put that in there. But, and I got to fit in my music for 2001 into it with the title card by actually incorporating the music sheet into there. So if you play those first three notes, you're going to know what bum, bum, right? It's actually not the notes. It goes down, 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 and then there's the light, and then it goes boom, boom, So. I like Papermate pens. I really do. I thought, this is for the first little bit, I thought, is this just kind of a really cheap quality pen? But in all honesty, when drawing with ballpoint pens, Papermates tend to have a real ability to take some abuse on the tip of moving the head of the pen around in your hand, and it doesn't build up lots of ink on one side. Like it sort of creates this little reservoir of ink up here because you're only working with that side. Papermates tend not to do that, which is kind of nice. Otherwise, I'd have to have a cloth beside me constantly turning the head of the pen around so that I get up that extra dollop of ink off of the one side. These are the ideas that sort of bing, bing, bong. That's Jim Lewis' favorite sound. That's a good sound. Ping pong. There's a Chris Walken reference. He was in the movie Balls of Fury. You gotta respect that. A guy who does roles like the Deer Hunter and then also does roles like Balls of Fury. All right. Yeah, lots of food for thought from last night's stream. There's lots of things that I've been thinking about. I think I really need to sit down and take a little bit of time to try some animation out. I am really inspired by some of the things Jim said last night. So thank you, Jim. This is fun. Yeah, I'm curious. And is it a sound effect that you've used in a project? That's the other question. Is it a sound effect that you enjoy so much that you've actually put it into something? That's how do you incorporate the more ridiculous your sound is too? How do you incorporate that in a project? Like, how would you go about incorporating ping ping pong into a page? That's a fun challenge to put forward for oneself, is how do I actually fit this in? Certain sound effects you don't like either. Like, there's just sounds that even when you're writing them down, you're like, I don't want to. What other sound could there be for that? Like, I hate the sound of people chewing, you know, and that's largely because I'm a very visual person and I associate it so strongly with watching them chewing, and nobody wants that. So, hey, what am I yawning? Go. So hopefully I've gotten a hold of his eyes here. It's sort of at a certain point you start to question if have I got him here or not, and especially if you're doing somebody that's recognizable to other people, you really do kind of want to, at least capture their likeness to some extent, and that way it sells the story more, because if the entire thing that you're plotting is based on the way that they speak or the way that they act and behave. Like Bill Nye is a guy, he's like the British. Bill Nye is the British acting what Chris Walken is to North American. And you would recognize him in things like he's Davy Jones in the Jack Sparrow pirate films. He's the guy with the squid face. You don't seem to listen. Like, he does that, and he has very arthritic hands. So because of that, no matter what the characters are that he's playing, it tends to be, when he points, you can sure tell. He's even been in the Harry Potter thing like everybody else. Yeah, this is coming along. I'm pleased with how this is coming along here. It's it's always a nice feeling when, as you're moving through the image that you're working up, that you've got a good feeling about it, a good sense that what it is that you're trying to capture is working out to some extent. Yeah, I there's a part of me that I haven't looked back and watched last night's streaming. I realize I really don't watch myself. I watch back and see what I do. But I hope that I didn't, hurt anybody's feelings or say anything silly. I think I did okay. I know Jim did. What's it doing now? Yeah, this is. I don't know if the mic is still picking up. This is totally my stupid internet at this point. We're actually looking into getting it switched over for a better bandwidth because this is one touchy monkey right now, and I find it very aggravating. I asked Paul if my humor was too brutal. He laughed and said no. Thank goodness, because I'm about to draw him as a private eye. Trying to figure out an angle on this idea for tomorrow. You know, I tried to do that. I try to come up with some sort of idea generation before I actually sit down and start working. I think that, you know, if you can do that, if you can put that together for yourself, it's a great benefit to executing it successfully when you do sit down to it, because you've got preconceived in your head a notion of where it's going. Maybe it doesn't, you know, there's no such hard, fast rules, but I find that that's what works for me. But then there's still a lot of experimentation as I'm drawing. Tomorrow's not Chuck Norris. Tomorrow is well, maybe it is. I think Chuck Norris is before Sam the Private Eye. Yeah, Chuck Norris is tomorrow. Hey, okay, good. It gives me an extra day to think about what to do with Sam the Private Eye. So, okay. Hey. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. It gives me a little bit more time to think about what to do with that. Chuck Norris, Fashion God, is tomorrow. This is if there's a chosen, or if there's a preferred medium that I would choose, I may very well choose ballpoint pen. There is just something that feels just right for me in drawing a ballpoint. It's yeah, I don't know. It's just it fits naturally. So what have we got? Please add glitter to Chuck. Okay, slow down. How do I add glitter? This is a dumb question. My grandkid's got lots of glitter in his house. Use every tool in your cupboard, please. Yeah, looks like we're going back to painting with a spatula again. Not Firestarter, The Dead Zone. That was another good walk-in film. That's 1,000 years ago. Some really memorable lines in that as well. It's the turn of phrase. It's the way that he pronounces things. It's the way that he enunciates and breaks them down into small parcels, I think, is what makes it so identifiable and recognizable, the way that he says things. And that's the one where he says, yeah, God's been a great sport to me. Me. He's got all these really fun shapes in his face that I'm really enjoying. And then I'm going to come in after the black with a white pencil, and to really try to enhance some of these specific spots. This list of music that I'm listening to is improving. It just, New Order just kicked in. I'm a happy monkey. I can't tell if this... Yeah, it's all right. It's coming. This guy's got a full head of hair. I'm gonna sneeze. Woohoo! All right, I'm going to. Where did I put the pad of paper? I'm gonna peel off another sheet here. All right. This is a really dense piece of craft paper, but I likes it. It's great for drawing on, and you know, it's got a lot of tooth, and it can take a lot of abuse, and you know, it lets you have the versatility of working in whatever way you're opting to do at the moment. So that's always nice about a piece of paper, and you know, the kind of thing that you know, I really appreciate for whatever project I'm on in any given moment. I got to get his hairline in. It's not him if he doesn't have his hairline. So even if I'm not filling it all in right now, it's just a part of me that says I got to do it. So. All right, that's coming together. Oh, I'm missing things. I'm sorry. What are some other art or comic related podcasts that you listen to? Very few, actually. The Society of Illustrators. I'll watch some of those, or I'm Sabine Hassenfelder. I listen to Critical Mind. I listen to an awful lot of different theses by people on sociology. Now and Then is another really good one. But I listen to a lot of pieces on philosophy, psychology, sciences. I am a nerd, so that tends to be the stuff that I head towards. There's a few people. Mastering Composition is a guy that I have in my list. And then a lot of horror breakdown, like just strange sort of like story and film breakdown videos that I enjoy, and then a lot of black and white, old school noir films and the like. This is the sort of stuff that I have on my YouTube. And it's just because if I load up a whole bunch of how-to art videos and art YouTube channels, for one thing, I don't like a lot of them. I find a lot of them are just, is this about talking art and showing art, or is this about, hey, look at me? I find that a lot of it is nonsensical in the sense that it's not actually giving anybody something to build a career, like to help them in facilitating their career. It's more of a clickbait, I think it's called, where, hey, here's a reason to make you have to click in and so you can listen to me talk for a while. Yeah, I'm gonna have to change that here. Too high, just too high. I felt it at the time. Yeah. So I tend not to listen to an awful lot of art shows. So yeah, I'm gonna probably, because I'm drawing at this cockeyed angle so people can see what I'm doing in that camera, I'm gonna have to squish this image down a little bit. Because it looks really contrived. Yeah. Yeah, if that's okay, I'm going to get rid of this book under here and just get to a more natural pitch, because I'm not enjoying that at all. All right. Yeah, the hair needs to come down farther. There we go. I'll clean that up a little bit more when I start dropping the white in. Is there any advice or any art channels that people advise I check out? Is there outside of, for me, if I am watching one, it really is just tutorial stuff I might be interested in, or I watch a lot of stuff talking about fine art, but I don't watch a lot of stuff talking about comic book art, and it has a lot to do with working in a comic store for a long time. You kind of get burned out of it. You can only have people ask you who would win in a fist fight between Shazam, you know, Mickey Mouse, Mighty Mouse, whatever, Superman. Oh, come on now. Yeah, that's better. I like the hairline better there. I haven't dropped it down. It's a case of extremes when it comes for. I find that the way I'll draw in ballpoint is that I get really rough and jagged with some of the darks, and overly soft and gentle with some of the light values that I'll put in. It's the key things in a face that tie us together. The eyes and the mouth. I missed some stuff. I'm sorry. Oh, hey, how you doing, Philip? Welcome aboard, sir. Philip, I'm really happy to see your page that you did. The Mars page. Nice, man. Nice. I really enjoyed that page. Boy, there's lots of stuff coming in. Oh my. I wanted that finished. I think I was up till 5 a.m. Don't do that. Oh my goodness. 5 a.m. this morning. What are you doing? I hope you're taking the day. I don't know how other people can perform on when they're on levels of sleep they need. I tend to be a person that doesn't sleep that much. I mean, I finished that page last night. I went to bed, I think, at 1, and I was up at 6. I think it was 6. But yeah, it tends to be a lot of sleep these days. I used to sleep less than that, so. But I know that for a fact that every now and then it catches up to me, and somebody just spends an entire day just doing nothing on a couch. So that somebody looks like this guy. Well, hopefully this is a convincing enough walk-in so that I don't have to spend every panel of the story. I find that if you can do a root image where you look at it and go, okay, that's him, then you can be more simplistic in how you execute this person for the remainder of, the remainder of the page. And that's what I'm going for here, is that. So just trying to get that root expression down for him here, and then off I go. I really want to spend more time concentrating on the way he moves and talks, his little quirks, shoulder pops, things like that. That's but I wanted to have that "why are you talking to me" look on his face for the first time that I'm introducing him in the scene. So I'm listening to The Cure. What am I missing? Gary, Philip. Hey, it's Gary. Oh, there we go. Thank me later for thwarting the Martian invasion. Hey, look at it. We're like a gang now of people that do Martian stuff. We can challenge the Maple gang, being in the Maple gang. I really got wrapped up in it. I wanted it done. I had so many interruptions earlier in the day. I got determined to finish it, and it looks great. I think it looks great. It's wonderful. It's a lot of fun. It has a nice, tight, fast narrative. Yeah, and you give somebody a bit of hell at the end of it. What was that character's name that you blamed it on? Who was it? What was that guy's name? I think it was Gary. Gary's need more representation. I did a Barry. I almost did Gary today. When the spaceships crash in the comic page I did from yesterday. Hold on, let me see. I'll pull it up. In this last panel, it's Barry. It serves you right, Barry. I wish, now having seen Philip's page, that I'd said Gary as well. I really do. Like, it would have been so much cooler if I'd said Gary, and we just kept having this Martian named Gary getting blamed for everything. Little connective thread through each other's things. I can go back and fix it. Yeah. Well, I'll go in and fix. I'm going to take that line out. That really annoys me. What did we miss? Poor Mary. Gary didn't make it, though. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Jim was pretty great last time. So I'm drawing it on an alternate angle than the camera's on, so it's kind of all stretched now. Let's see if I can figure out the proper angle for the camera, the overhead. I think that's it. I think that's the angle. But yeah, I have to reset my cameras and stuff. I monkeyed them around last night. My one camera died last night. I realize now that that's what happened. When I turned off my computer at the end of the evening, that camera was toast, and that's what made me go black at one point. Is that was my camera's hiccup before its death? It was its death throw. Yeah. What voice would I do for a film for one of Jim's films? Oh Lord, look over there. Maybe Jim will do a Martian film, and I can do a. Those Martians are coming to get us for sure. I like Western films as much as anything else, but I'm not, a big Western guy, but I just love a lot of the old voices of guys like Slim Pickens or Sam Pickens or whatever it was, or Slim Pick. I can't remember what this guy's name is. I think it was something silly though. And I really love Roger Miller growing up. Roger Miller is the voice of Alan O'Dale in the animated Robin Hood film by Disney. And he's the rooster at the beginning, the minstrel. And he's also the same guy that sang such golden country hits as Does Your Chewing Gum Lose Its Flavor on the Bedpost Overnight? Or King of the Road. That's his big hit, of course. But he was a bohemian. And so he shows up on Ed Sullivan and his accompanist. And bear in mind, this is like whatever the years were for the Batman TV show. Like these two are so hip that one of them, as they're performing on Ed Sullivan, one of them's wearing a Batman shirt, and this is in the early 60s. But yeah, if you get a chance to check out Roger Miller on Ed Sullivan, he's a quirky guy, but I really liked his music growing up. So what do we got? I adore Westerns and hope to entice Jim in doing a top type video on the topic someday. Oh, you got to get right with that one though. Oh my goodness. There are some serious Westerns that need to be on the list. And if they are not on your list, gentlemen. Whoa. I just watched the remake of Westerns are remade almost more than anything else, in Hollywood, by the way. But I just watched the remake recently that they did of The Magnificent Seven. And yeah, that was different. There were certain parts of it that I found, great, but there were also parts of it that I was like, what the hell am I watching? So and then the remake by the Coen brothers of Rooster Cogburn. What is that film? True Grit. The remake of True Grit really is great. It really is. Like there's 3:10 to Yuma is a great movie. Unforgiven is possibly one of the best Western films ever made, if not the best. And if you can get past the harmonica, there's a really good Western with Charles Bronson in it. What I have to ask you is, huh? Pull your gun out. Oh, so awful. Never know who's looking at that guy. Yeah, because of the cockamamie angle I've been drawing at, I'm going to have to squash my own drawing because the perspective on it's just wackadoo. But that's there. We got the remake is True Grit, brilliant. Yep, remake's fantastic. Unforgiven would be in the running for my top spot. Good man, good man. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Yep. Once Upon a Time in the West, indeed. Jimmy Stewart is a bad guy, huh? Come on. It's a weird one. I'm a big fan of High Plains Drifter. Yeah, that's a good one. Fives go where? Oh, thank God. Five goes west. Yeah, that is one, actually. That's a pretty good one. A really brutal one that I love, but nonetheless is The Proposition, set in Australia. That is a good film. That really is. What the hell was the one that just came out recently? Where Bone Tomahawk. Bone Tomahawk is something else. If you haven't seen Bone Tomahawk, brace yourself. But that fits all of the old Western tropes to a T. It just takes you to a really uncomfortable place. And strangely enough, the television series Westworld, the remake, well, I guess it was Future World that was the previous television series. But the first season of the Westworld with Anthony Hopkins in it, it really does follow a Western plot, like a Western narrative. It's just in a science fiction film or a science fiction television show. Oh, we talked about this, I think, yesterday, but I got to put Wide Earp in there. It's a fairly good one. I wouldn't say it's in my top 5 by any means, but it is a fun Western to watch. True Grit, 310 to Yuma, Unforgiven. Yeah, easily number 1 for me, Unforgiven. It's almost like, and the reason that what's the one with Clint Eastwood where it's the Panhandler one. It's where he crosses the mountain, and he's and I saw four figures come over the horizon. And the first one rode on a white horse, and he was Death. I'm trying to think of which one that was called. That Bone Tomahawk is a rough movie. Yeah. The original Westworld, yep. Counts as Western trope. Heartbreak Pass, yeah. Ewell as an evil robot gunfighter was great. Yeah, Heartbreak Pass is a good one. I think that the Ed Harris as the villain in that instead of Ewell is a completely different direction. I think Ed Harris is pretty fantastic in that. But I mean, you don't have the silent killer android or killer robot in it, and so it isn't the same at all. The modern from the past. So, but It's not Silverado. What the hell? It's a Clint Eastwood. It's one of the Man with No Name ones, but he plays a preacher. I love you, preacher. That is until Unforgiven came out. That was my absolute favorite Man with No Name film for Clint Eastwood. And in my mind, that was probably I like that better than The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. And the reason that I think I liked it more is that it didn't have the music as much as White Buffalo, great movie. Or what's the Dustin Hoffman one where he's trying to learn how to be a human being? Little Big Man. I really like Jeremiah. It's Robert Redford. It's but it's maybe it's less of a Western and more of a frontier film. Jeremiah Johnson. That's one I really enjoy as well, where he plays a man on his own out in the wilderness. Little Big Man is really good. Yeah. Thanks for agreeing. I'm glad. Jeremiah Johnson I've got on a DVD. I purposely went out of my way to find a copy of that for myself, and a copy of 3 Days of the Condor. Two amongst my favorite Robert Redford films. But easily my favorite Robert Redford movie is, strangely enough, Sneakers. It's playing on the radio. You're going to be a pain. No, you're okay. Jeremiah Johnson, yeah. Yeah, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Oh, the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. These are good, but I still wouldn't put these in. I wouldn't put Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in my top 5. It'd be tough to pick a real top 5, but there's certain ones that I kind of, as good as they are, I still wouldn't put them in there. Just because there's some Westerns the ones that tend to come out under the radar, like the assassination of Jesse James, is one of those films that it's a really great Western work. It really is. It just it doesn't fit, enough of the markers for the dramatic turn of the recognizable Clint Eastwood guy in it. It's far more a character study piece, and I think it's far more successful because of it. Silverado, thank you. Silverado is my favorite Man with No Name film for Clint Eastwood. It's Blazing Saddles does count. It sure does. Would a modern Western like No Country for Old Men count? I think that there's a part of me that looks at lists like this in a really kind of sideways perspective on it, because I think that reinterpretive Westerns, pieces that are clearly Westerns, even though they're not, in the same sense of their old cowboy pictures, I think they deserve their own list, because there's some really good ones in that. Like there's some absolutely fantastic projects that will just get overshadowed by, things like True Grit. As good as No Country for Old Men is, it's kind of strange for it to be in a list of, Unforgiven, True Grit, and all those films, and then there's that. But No Country for Old Men is an absolute brilliant piece of work. But it's the Coens, right? You know what I mean, man? Whatever, man. Favorite Coens film. There's a list. That's a list you can expect an argument on. The serious moonlight. What time are we at? 1:30. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm missing a whole bunch of... I think Loris Kasdan said almost any story can be told as a Western. It's not 100%, but it's a fun exercise. Yep. Star Wars is a pretty good Western. That's what I mean. Like Star Wars would fit into that contemporary retake of it, right? When you look at a lot of the similar tropes of film noir and Westerns, that's a challenging thing. I wanted to see The Hateful Eight for a while. Not a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. The Hateful Eight is a fantastic film. I think it's an absolutely fantastic film, especially as a Western. Unfortunately, Gary doesn't agree. Gary, it didn't do much for you. I also don't like Quentin Tarantino. I find that a lot of his films are, I've seen some of these done before, and I know that a lot of his stuff is taking other things and stitching them together and almost directly so. I don't have a popular opinion about Quentin Tarantino, I realize, but Hateful Eight really works. It really works as a film. It just really works. It has a lot of elements in it, like that just sort of sell it through. And then there's films like The Revenant. I mean, The Revenant would be one of those. That's pretty much a cowboy revenge movie, right? Like that's a great film, but it's of course got its challenges. And Dead Man by Jarmusch, does that count? Has anybody seen Jim Jarmusch's Dead Man? It's got a soundtrack by Neil Young. There's one of the most fantastic misunderstandings in film and Dead Man that still cracks me up any time I've seen it since the first time. It just cracks me up. The reason that he's called Dead Man is layered. So, Gary, you haven't seen Dead Man? Oh my goodness! Jim and I were just talking about The Revenant the other day. It's a really good one. It really is. Dead Man is a black and white. It's got a Neil Young soundtrack, so a lot of guitar. It stars Johnny Depp as an accountant in the Wild West period of time, and coming to take a job at the middle of nowhere. He happens to be named William Blake. But the cast is your typical Jim Jarmusch, where he puts in all of his favorites. Did anybody see The Ballad of Buster Scruggs? What do we got for a genre hop? I love Jim Jarmusch's Only Lovers Left Alive. Only Lovers Left Alive is fantastic. What was his last one he did with Bill Murray? The zombie one? That didn't do it for me. I mean, it's on. It's something fun. There's a really good one. I would say it's your contemporary Western, with additional elements. There's Wolves Among Us. is on Netflix right now, and if you get a chance, give it a look. But I got to put The Ballad of Buster Scruggs in there as maybe possibly one of the best Westerns that have been made in some time, because in the course of that thing, it explores so many themes in its short story approach, and I absolutely love that film. Oh, well, films. Story, I don't know. What the hell is it? Is it a film? It's a film. So my plan with this page is to have Walken. The suggestion is Christopher Walken ordering a beer and drinking it, and so I'm going to have him do so as he watches these ladies dressed as flowers. I want to watch these people dressed as flowers dancing. It's a silly thought in my head, but it's one that I want to play with. And they're not flowers that he's watching dancing. So. But I just wanted to get that one root image down and then off and running. Well, hopefully it's looking like him. What do we got? I caught part of a Western flick my cousin was watching over the holidays. Had Donald and Kiefer Sutherland in it. Can't remember the name. I don't know that I've seen that. I mean, Young Guns was, Kiefer in Western before, but I can't say I've seen the new one. I can't say I was overly impressed. The acting was good, though. Well, it's the Sutherlands, or specifically Donald. Buster Scruggs is sort of fascinating to me because while superficially it's almost cartoony in a comedy, the underlying themes are so dark. I love the significance of the little girl at the gallows. When you realize what the little girl is, that film, and you realize that it's that film is an exploration into the quality of the Pilgrim's Path, I think it is. And the Virgil, what is that? Not the Ovid. No, it's Dante Alighieri's Divine Tragedy. There's parts of that film that you can stitch together as the different transgressions of mankind. It's interesting to me. But the Buster Scruggs story is fantastic. There's also a video, and I don't know if anybody's had a chance to watch this. This isn't by any means, for the list or anything like that. There's a video that Nick Offerman narrates, which is a Western, and it is some of the funniest stuff because as the narrator is narrating these characters and giving all kinds of insights into the characters themselves, the characters are aware of what the narrator's saying, and it is one of the funniest things. I would like, I don't know, look up Nick Offerman Western. It's the guy that plays the office manager or the department manager in Parks and Recreation. And so he has that very specific voice, but him narrating this Western about how dirty the prostitute is, and she keeps giving everybody, I think she's giving everybody syphilis, and the syphilis came from one of these guys that has too much of a fondness for his father's prize sheep. Like, it just goes on and on and on. It's genius. It's have you seen it, Gary? It's so good. Well, I'm feeling pretty good with this one. It's on a weird stretch perspective because of the angle that I've been drawing at. But when I scan it and I'm going to put it back in the proper shape. Let me see if I can figure this. Yeah, there we go. I'll show it like this. So when I get it scanned, then I can put it in the computer and you know, warp it back properly because I've been drawing on a really pitched angle. But yeah, I think it'll come together pretty good. And, you know, represent our Mr. Walken pretty well. But that's it's been fun doing this one. Tomorrow's page, when I'm going to post this, tomorrow's page is Chuck Norris, Fashion Runway God. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh, thanks very much, Gary. What are we at? 1:43. I'm going to wrap up in a couple minutes. But yeah, I've got to draw a whole bunch of people doing a flamingo dance. And a little surprise at the end there. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with, you know, I've been having some fun doing this. So I love drawing in ballpoint. It's if there's a favored choice for me, it might be that. Ballpoint pen is I've illustrated entire books, plural, in ballpoint. It's which is a little absurd, I realize, but this paper is great. This is see, I'm gonna have to pull that hairline down. This is a craft paper, heavy cardstock. It's a really fun surface to work on. It has a lot of tooth to it. I highly recommend people giving it a shot. 1970s Westerns are usually Jim's favorites. They have the 70s grit to them, plus the hairstyles match. There you go. Phil's got a split. Ta-ta, Phil. Ta-ta. Thanks very much, buddy. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap stuff up here, too. Let me find my note. The dialogue for this page is going to be, I'm going to watch these people dressed like flowers dance around while I drink. Okay, I'm going to watch these people dressed like flowers dance around while I drink my beer. And then the bartender says, "That's cool, Mr. Watt. Shoosh, the dancing." And he's gonna say it again. The dancing. That's it. That's all the dialogue. It's as ridiculous as it sounds. It's the same way that my brain had figured out the dialogue for the UFO page I did today. Before I had figured out anything else, I knew that I wanted to have English over top of you know, a full Martian language. So it's the way that sometimes it's how we stitch things together, right? What's Gary say? And then I love using ballpoint. If you break them in a little, you can get really nice values out, or even a cheap Bic. Frank showed it a book or two in just ballpoint. You think it was graphite or something. Yeah, Frank is really amazing for that. He really is. My favorite thing about Frank Cho's earliest work, because I've been following Cho since he was right after the first collection that they did of Liberty Meadows, I picked up. And the best part of his Liberty Meadows collections to me had to be testing out my new markers. Every time he did one of those pages where he would draw the very, pre-Raphaelite or Art Deco styled images, or he'd draw the real cross-hatched King Kong versus dinosaurs, that stuff that he was doing there for me superseded the entirety of the Liberty Meadows book. And I really enjoyed Liberty Meadows. I just enjoyed those testing out my pens pages the most. And so I picked up a couple of those ballpoint books of his, and you're right, it's really strong work. Okay, I'm going to clock out for now. But I'll have this page come together for tomorrow, and then tomorrow's live stream is going to be a different one. I'm going to do it digitally, and so you're going to see. I'm actually going to pull images together and mess them up and start matting things together compositionally in the camera. So it's a transition away from putting together the panels or the images and then incorporating them into the page without the camera on me. And instead, tomorrow I'm going to try a different approach here of sourcing images from the 70s is the request from Jim Luan, who suggested the page. So the Chuck Norris page tomorrow is going to be a little bit different. I think that because of how my headspace works, though, I'm going to have to at least draw Chuck. So either way, 2:00 tomorrow, tune in then if you can, and let's explore another approach to it. Some of the intentions that I have for these pages, of diffusing and the values and stuff like that, and punching these photocopy printouts or whatever I might do with bleach and that I can't do. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do those sort of things in Photoshop. So it's going to be fun. Anyhow, I'll see you tomorrow at 2:00. Thanks very much for hanging out, everybody. Thanks very much for the talk about Western films. How can you go wrong there? I'll see you guys tomorrow. Gary, I think you and Jim should do a top 5 for that, because I'm really curious, considering the sheer barrage of things that we all referenced today, what you guys would boil down to that 5. So yeah, it'd be interesting to find out. Okay, bye for now. See everybody tomorrow. Take care.